Mike Schulte.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for making the time. I know
Yeah, yeah. So sorry. I had the weirdest thing happen. My accountant died before
oh
he
no.
filed my taxes. So I only found out when I got a notice saying that I never filed my taxes. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, you have a check for me. They're like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, great.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's life. What are you gonna do? Shit happens.
So what's going on? So you know about the workshop. You have some thoughts. You don't think it's necessarily or entirely for you, given you're doing a lot of the right things. You got things in motion. Do you have any particular questions that I could help address?
So my concern, right? Like, so where I'm at right now is like I've already hired full-time videographer one. I'm like, listen, if I had the liquid, I'd have person two, three, and four already, but it's not
Right.
necessarily the case. But I know based off of where we are and where we're trajectorying out for the year, that by the end of the year I'll have three to four, just on like a social team, doing everything that Gary says. Just do what I do, like watch what I'm doing, don't listen to what I'm saying, kind of shit.
Right.
Playing in all the arenas that none of my competitors are playing whatsoever. Um, and doing it like me. Like I'm the only broker that shows up to $10 million listings in fucking sweatpants. Um, and I don't care. Like if I leave money on the table as a byproduct and I've lost buildings because somebody's been conservative and doesn't necessarily jive with who I am. Like I'm happy when that shit happens because essentially they're self-filtering themselves out of my life, which is wonderful.
Right.
Um, and I don't have to buy the jets. So like my aspirations aren't as large. I just need a nice chunk of change that I can eventually retire and live off the interest.
Beautiful.
And run my non-for-profit and travel. What are you gonna do? That's life. So for me, like I feel my big opportunity right now is more like the process behind it, like the structure of what a well-oiled machine looks like, and maybe even like a analyzation of where we are. I also think that this may not be like today, tomorrow, maybe in like a few months after I've gotten some kinks out and I'm already like just about to hire that second person. But like that's just where I am and just how I see things. And I wasn't sure. I know um, what's his face spoke very highly of it, but it's always good to speak to the people doing it, obviously.
Yeah, of course. I mean that all makes plenty of sense. Can you hear me?
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, I got someone calling in. Yeah, so I think you're in a good place. You're doing the right things. You got a videographer. I've seen the comments. I love what you're doing. But back to that process conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I, I think that's a big takeaway for what is kind of walk through during this program.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of we'll go through the process of what Team Gary's been doing, not specific to Team Gary, but that's the example that's used.
Right.
That's coming from the Vayner talent side of things, and I think that whole approach is very aligned with how you should be positioning yourself
Right.
and taking care of that. Hey, if I'm making a 30-minute video or whatever it is, I want to know what else to do with that content, right? You're busy. You're not always creating content. You don't have a big enough team to worry about that. So you want to make the most out of what you're already doing. And I
Right.
think that's something that we as a team have perfected because at the end of the day, we never really have that much time with Gary. We're just good at understanding, all right, this is what we have. This is what else we can do with it. So I think that's an important component. I think generally speaking, the whole approach to branding, content strategy, content creation, how to tell a story, why you're telling a story, where to tell a story. I think all of that is important as well, and I'm sure you understand most of those nuances already. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, this is coming from people that are leading the charge for our Fortune 100, 500 clients. So it's an interesting conversation because they're giving their context based on their world, and their world is working with these massive brands. But then we whittle it down and we say, all right, who's in this room? How can we apply those same thoughts and strategies to the 10 people that are sitting in front of us?
Mm-hmm.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. It definitely does. For me, it's just making sense of it. You know what I mean? Because at
Of
the end of the
course.
day, like 10 grand is it. Listen, it's not a lot of money, but it's not nothing.
Hey,
It's not
it's a
nothing
lot of
either.
money. I don't care who it is. It's a lot. It's money. It's
No,
a day, 10 grand.
yeah, no, I understand, but like I mean, luckily business is very good here. Listen, that would be
Of
one of
course.
my more major expenses of the year. Like, but at the end of the year, when I have $250,000 in salary, what the fuck is 10 grand?
Right.
Like that's how I look at it. But at the same point, listen, I believe that some people probably do buy into it because they want to be able to like say they were there and sat with Gary. I could give two fucking shits about that.
Of course.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that eventually like our circles will align from other shit, and like we're cut from a similar cloth, so we might end up being friends. Who the fuck knows? Like I don't need like somebody else for me to bubble. Like that's not ever how I've flown.
Totally.
So yeah, no, listen, I appreciate you taking the time and giving me a little clarity. It definitely gives me something to chew on, and this is like probably like a May, June kind of thing if I was to do it. Would be my thought process. Yeah.
So let's do this. We don't have any dates outside of April. I think we're just about to launch 2 new April dates because we're getting a lot of attention for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm sure it's on your radar, but I'll follow up with you once we launch those dates. If any questions come up in the meantime, just hit me up, man. I'm always available.
Cool. You just real quick. We were chatting prior to any of this about like photos and shit, and you were asking. I don't know if this was.
Oh yeah. Yep.
This was some personal curiosity or something you guys are looking at.
Definitely personal.
Okay.
Not the end thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would tell you, listen, like anything, and you've seen this, and obviously the same is applicable with Gary's business, is there's very few people who understand marketing that play this game, because you're dealing with the fact that it's 75 hours to get a real estate license. So any schmo who sits in a class for 2 weeks can be licensed, and the reality is most people don't have the self-control to run their own business. So that's why 80% of people fail, and that's why the majority of shit that's out there looks like shit. And the other thing is it's still a very like rotary phone industry. The way technology applies is not broad, not consistent, and most of it is 2 or 3 stages behind. There's very few. There's no industry leader in anything tech-wise, pretty much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm looking to move out in a little bit, so I might tap you for that as well. Love it. Where are you from?
I'm a Queens kid. My parents still live in the same house I grew up in Rego Park.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Love that.
I've been in Queens my whole life, other than college, and that was Western New York. So
All right, not too far.
No.
I'm gonna keep you posted. I think I'll be looking in a little bit.
All right, cool. I'm gonna save your number and then we'll talk, even if it's not about the other stuff or whatever it is. And if you ever have any questions, I'm always here to help.
My man, thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You too.
All right, peace. So over the last couple of days, we've added a few hundred followers to Instagram. We just had a contest because we surpassed 2,000. I'm going to pick up another gift card to give away. How long do you think before we're walking down the street like this and there's like at least one other person doing this on every block?
Probably a while. Because a lot of people...
3 years?
Yeah, I would say 3 years. Like a lot of people feel subconscious.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that actually happen? Like people don't want to be on...
That's one of the reasons why I never did vlogging.
Really?
I was always like, I don't want to like see myself. Like I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm always behind the scenes. I guess I'm weird.
I feel you. I guess there's different like personality traits in people, and as a byproduct, you want to do certain things and do other things. That makes sense. I don't know. I've never really been scared by much.
But eventually that's just going to become the norm.
Yeah, I think it is, because I think eventually probably what happens is it becomes a drone,
Yeah.
and you have like a bubble that follows you around, kind of, you know?
I just wanna live my life. Oh, oh. I just wanna live with purpose. Don't you tell me that I'm worthless. I just wanna live my life. Oh, oh. I just wanna live with purpose. Don't you tell me that I'm worthless. It's way too easy getting caught up in a scene that you weren't meant to be in.
We may have to go to Bed-Stuy in a little bit to go check out this 3-family. I'm gonna find out by the time we get back to the office. Something Brian and I were working on a few months ago, and out of nowhere, like these things happen, the landlord hits us up and says, hey, if you wanna come by and check it out, you can today, of course. Great. Right now, right. So, luckily, that's the beauty of having a car, is I can get to Bed-Stuy. I mean, I could also on the train, but it's not as fun. It's not as easy. I've been driving in New York my whole life. Driving in the traffic don't mean shit to me. I also need to get a fucking haircut. So I hit that dude. I totally forgot about that. What time is it? Please tell me it's still early, like pre-12 o'clock. It is.